In this video, we'll watch a man who literally turned a giant tree into a complete house, and we'll see the entire journey of building his massive tree house deep in the forest. The whole construction process took 6 full months. So come along and let's watch each step and this entire adventure together. First, he started by bringing in some wooden planks that were quite thick, stacking them on top of each other. Then, he began peeling off the tree's bark and removing the damaged parts. After that, he brought a wooden board and attached a metal bracket to it, something we can call a corner frame or chassis. He made sure to fasten it tightly with nails. Beneath it, he had already fixed a small piece of wood to the ground to hold the board steady. He then used a spirit level to make sure everything was perfectly aligned. Next, he screwed the bolts into the tree, secured 2 nails into that small wooden piece, and stood on it to test its strength. Once he confirmed it could support his weight, he took measurements, cut a piece using a saw, then used an axe to remove part of the tree's outer layer. He installed another wooden board as a frame, screwed it tightly in place, and positioned it on top of the first step he had made. He then fixed it securely to the tree with nails and added a metal frame underneath the step for extra support. After that, he brought another wooden plank, measured it for the new step, cut it to the right size, and carved out a small section of the tree so it would fit perfectly. Once he got it right, he mounted it in place and secured it with nails. Then he took more measurements, brought a long piece of wood, cut a section of it, and fixed it in the spot you can see here, tightening it firmly with screws. He then removed the corner frame to refine the final shape, climbed up to test the structure, and made sure everything was solid. It's becoming clear that he's building a staircase, but let's keep watching until the end to see how it all comes together. He built another step in the same way, secured it firmly, removed part of the tree, and fastened another step to it with nails. It seems that by this point he was nearly done with the staircase, but he kept going, adding another step, tightening the screws properly, and cutting away parts of the tree as needed, just like before.
He then took the wooden plank he used for support and fastened it tightly with nails. After that, he brought a medium-sized tree, cut a portion of it, removed the extra branches, took some measurements, and cut again to get the right size. Then he grabbed a long rope, threw it over a part of the tree, and made sure it was secured properly. He attached a climbing harness to that section, mainly for safety and protection, then put it on and adjusted it carefully. He took his drill, axe, and all the tools he might need, grabbed a ladder, and started positioning and tightening it with nails, adjusting the wood underneath as well. Once everything was secured, he double-checked the rope to ensure it was strong enough. He continued removing parts of the tree using his axe, then brought another ladder, fixed it firmly, tightened the nails, and attached the supporting plank properly. At that point, it seemed like he had finally completed the staircase he'd been working on. He took a well-deserved break, relaxed, ate, and enjoyed some time by the lake. After the break, he got back to work, brought more wooden planks, transported them using a beach buggy, and placed them next to the tree. Then he climbed up the tree and cut off one of its branches. He grabbed a wooden board and a drill, fixed them together using a fairly large nail, drilled 2 holes beside it, and inserted 2 more nails to secure them tightly. After that, he climbed down, brought another plank, checked its alignment with a spirit level, and made sure it was perfectly straight. Since the workload was getting heavy and he was doing all of this alone, he decided to get some help. His friend started clearing away the bark that he had peeled off from above, while he continued stripping a large portion of it himself. Of course, he had tied himself securely with the rope to avoid any accidents. His friend then brought a long, thick wooden beam, climbed up the stairs, and handed it over to him. It was a risky move. They could have easily gotten injured, but thankfully, they managed to lift it successfully. With the help of the 2 men and the rope, he positioned the beam exactly where he wanted it, drilled holes just like before, and fastened it firmly with nails. Then he started up his electric saw, cut off several large branches, and cleared a huge section of the tree.
The next step was to bring another wooden plank,
roughly the same size as the previous ones. He lifted it up and placed it on top of the two beams he had installed earlier. Then he brought a metal corner frame and used it to secure the long plank firmly from all sides. After that, he took another board of the same size and positioned it at the opposite end of the two beams he had fixed before. Next, he grabbed several smaller planks compared to the main ones and started attaching them between the two new beams he had just installed. To ensure everything was sturdy, he began fastening them tightly with nails, first by driving nails through the initial plank, then by positioning the last plank lengthwise and securing it with a metal corner frame. He made sure everything was firmly held together with nails on all sides. Once that was done, he placed the side plank and nailed it into the boards beneath it. At that point, it looked like he had finished building the base of his small house or cabin. Afterward, he took one of the tree branches that had fallen earlier and attached it to a part of the tree, then began placing several wooden planks over it. Unfortunately, after all that effort, the whole thing collapsed in the end. It honestly looked like he was fighting the wood rather than building with it. He sat down beneath it for a while, then gathered some firewood, lit a small fire, and took a relaxing break by the warmth. The next step, he brought a tree trunk and drilled a hole into the first step of the staircase, inserted the trunk, and secured it tightly with nails. He repeated the same process on the second, third, and fourth steps, aligning them properly and cutting off the excess parts from the top to make everything even. Then he took another branch, this one slightly angled, placed it above the smaller branches, and turned it into a kind of handrail. He trimmed the extra parts and adjusted it so it would look neat and well-fitted. He climbed up 2 steps higher and began repeating the same process, attaching the handrail with nails from the top, installing the wooden sections carefully and securing each one firmly. He kept climbing upward, repeating the same steps in order until he finished the entire staircase. After completing all that hard work, he decided to take another well-earned break. He cooked himself a nice meal, sat down to eat, and enjoyed the peaceful atmosphere of the place.
The next step was to bring an extremely long tree trunk and place it across the wooden beams at the top, securing it firmly with nails before letting it rest in position. After that, he began digging into the ground, spending a long time working carefully on that section of the project. Once he was done digging, he brought another tree, started peeling off its bark, and then tied a rope around the top of it. He went down, fastened the other end of the rope to the tree he had partially stripped, and cut a section off. Then he applied a yellow substance likely for protection or treatment before using the rope to lift the tree upright and position it in the hole he had dug earlier. Once it was standing securely, we see him sitting on the wooden beams above, placing another plank at the very edge and fastening it tightly with nails. He then inserted several nails into the tall tree he had just installed to reinforce its stability. On the plank, he drove a large nail right in the center, then trimmed the excess wood and smoothed out the uneven parts. On the opposite side of the wooden frame he built earlier, he began adding smaller planks, fixing several of them side by side and tightening them securely with nails. Next, at the end of the staircase, he attached a tree branch and fastened it to both the handrail and the main tree, adding several more branches on top of each other and securing another one beneath the bottom of the handrail for extra strength. Then he climbed up again, brought another plank, and attached a corner frame to it, installing it onto the floor of the structure. However, he noticed it wasn't perfectly stable, so he brought 2 metal rods and reinforced the plank firmly in place. After that, he added another metal corner on top so that he could attach an additional plank securely. He then repeated the same process on the opposite side. Once both sides were done, he started bringing in wide wooden boards and laying them across the floor of the treehouse. At one point, a board got stuck because of the tree's uneven shape, so he took precise measurements, marked it carefully with a pencil, cut it, adjusted it, and placed it again, this time fitting it perfectly. Another plank gave him the same issue, so he repeated the same process, measured, marked, cut, and reinstalled it neatly, securing it tightly with nails. Due to the tree's natural branches sticking out in some places, one of the boards didn't fit properly at first, but he adjusted it carefully until everything aligned perfectly.
Then he brought more wooden planks and began installing them on the opposite side, placing each one carefully in its position and fastening them tightly with nails. The plank that had previously gotten stuck, he adjusted perfectly and managed to fit it successfully. After that, he continued installing all the remaining boards until the entire surface was complete, securing everything firmly with nails. Next, he placed a wooden beam between the square frame pieces at the edges. Then, he trimmed off the excess parts of the floor on both sides, making sure everything was neat and even. He began covering the top with long, thin wooden boards, while using the same type of wood underneath as well. He installed a metal corner bracket underneath and attached a wooden plank to it, tightening the nails securely and aligning it precisely where he wanted it. He repeated this process around the entire structure, except for one side, which he still needed to finish. So he installed the same type of wood there too and fastened it tightly with nails. After that, he started cutting and placing small wooden pieces between each vertical beam, making sure they fit perfectly in all sections. He continued this throughout the house, positioning the wood carefully between every pair of columns. Then he brought wide wooden panels and began attaching them behind the beams, placing them one by one and securing them tightly with nails. Once he completed the first section, he immediately moved to the next, installing the panels side by side and nailing them firmly in place. He then worked on the following section, ensuring every board was stable and even. After that, he built a small raised surface, almost like a little table, and placed square wooden frames glued together with glass panels in between them. He then installed the wall section containing the glass window, positioning it between the wooden beams and securing it from above with another plank. After all that hard work, he took another break to eat. As I mentioned earlier, the entire construction process took 6 full months, so it's no surprise that he had to take frequent breaks and eat well. The idea here is that I'm summarizing each step of the long process for you. Right after that, he brought 2 tree trunks, placed a long plank across them, took the measurements carefully, and adjusted several more pieces of wood. Then, he began cutting parts of the trees to make sure the planks would fit properly. Once everything fit perfectly, he installed all the wood in place. Next, he took the staircase he had built earlier and positioned it inside the house. Then he used an electric saw to trim off the excess parts of the wood, after which he brought a long plank, lifted it up, and began carrying more planks one by one to the top. Finally, he started placing them across the roof, arranging each one carefully to begin forming the ceiling of the treehouse. He started fitting the roof planks around the edges, placing each one carefully and fastening them tightly with nails. He kept adding them one by one until the entire edge was covered. Then we see him bringing more wooden panels to fill the empty gaps beside the glass sections, aligning and securing them from the outside as well. There was a small space at the top, so he cut a custom piece of wood to fit perfectly and placed it there, completely enclosing the glass panels with wooden framing from the outside. Next, he brought some wooden boards he had cut earlier and began fastening them with nails onto both the roof and the tree itself, repeating the same process on the other side. Then he started placing planks both lengthwise and crosswise to fully close off the roof structure. This step took a lot of time as he kept adding and securing each plank carefully until the entire wooden roof framework was completed. Afterward, he cut off a section of the tree trunk that was inside the house, flipped it over, trimmed the excess parts, and leveled it neatly. Then he brought in corrugated metal sheets, attached them firmly with nails, and cut out parts of the sheets to fit around the shape of the tree. He continued covering the entire roof with the metal sheets, adjusting them precisely to follow the contours of the tree and ensuring the entire ceiling was properly sealed. Once that was done, he installed a wooden door that had glass panels, set it in place, secured it tightly, and adjusted its hinges. Then he sealed all the remaining gaps around the structure with wooden pieces. After that, he used a sealing compound to fill in the spaces between the tree trunk and the roof, working his way all around the tree since there were several small openings. Next, he brought a chimney pipe, made a circular opening for it, inserted the outer section first, then went inside and attached the inner part from the other side. He went back out again and connected both parts together so that the smoke could flow upward properly, successfully completing the installation. Then he climbed onto the roof to scrape off the excess ceiling material, smoothing it out neatly, and applied a coat of black paint over it so it wouldn't be noticeable. After finishing that, he moved back inside and began covering the interior walls with a plastic sheet, starting from beside the door all the way to the chimney. Then he brought foam insulation panels and placed them over the plastic layer he had just installed, positioning each piece carefully. He cut a section out around the chimney area to make sure it fit perfectly and continued covering the rest of the house piece by piece.
Then he brought another sheet of transparent plastic and started covering the areas he had filled with foam, including the section near the chimney. After that, he got wooden planks that looked like bed slats and began fixing them next to each other. He cut out a small piece to fit around the chimney, installed the rest of the planks, then attached the chimney and turned it on. After finishing all that, he sat down comfortably inside, enjoying the warmth. Next, he decided to install a lock or latch for the door. He took precise measurements of the area where the lock would go, drilled the hole with a power drill, tested it, and it fit perfectly. Then he used a strip of leather to protect the wood from getting scratched or damaged over time. After that, he grabbed a small tree branch, smoothed it down, removed any rough edges, and fixed it onto the door with screws, shaping it into a natural-looking handle. The next day, he used a measuring tape to check the distance between the roof and the ground in front of the house. He then cut the wood to size, adjusted it, tested it, and it fit perfectly. He went back down, took another piece of wood, and attached it to a corner bracket so he could secure it. He fixed it firmly to the frame on the other side where he had already made a hole, and drilled another hole in the new piece of wood to install a hook for hanging ropes. He tied a rope to it and tested it by hanging a bag. It worked just fine. Then he tied one of the tree branches extending from the trunk with a piece of wood to prevent it from falling when he cut it. The next step was to take 4 medium-sized wooden planks and build a frame for the ladder area. He made a second layer but didn't install it immediately. Instead, he covered it with transparent plastic, added foam to the back of the frame, placed a wooden board on top, and secured everything with screws. He trimmed the excess and attached the frame to the structure with hinges, testing it by opening and closing it. It worked perfectly. After that, he continued covering the rest of the floor with wood over the plastic sheet, securing each plank with nails. Above the door, he added a few small wooden pieces, placed them neatly, and fixed them in place. Finally, he went back to finishing the remaining wooden sections around the walls near the door. Then he brought a picture and started mounting it on the wall to make the space look nicer. He used a nail to hang the frame securely, then took another piece of wood, attached it to the wall, and fixed a small tree branch beneath it to serve as a support for a shelf he had just made. After securing the shelf, he placed a few books on it, and it turned out looking really nice. He also added another branch nearby to hang things like gloves, clothes, or anything else. Next, he attached another branch beneath it and went over to the wooden slab he had turned into a table.
There he fixed another branch piece, secured it tightly, made 4 more like it, and used them as hooks to hang clothes, just like a natural coat rack. He then placed 2 more branches beside the picture, fixed a wooden plank across the top of them, and secured everything firmly with screws. After that, he cut some additional wood pieces, brought them inside, and placed them near the door. He aligned several planks side by side, joined them with another piece of wood, then added 4 more planks and fixed them together. His goal was to build a chair. He took the wood pieces he had already prepared, assembled them, followed each step carefully, trimmed the extra parts, added a flat wooden piece on top, and placed 2 vertical planks in the back for support. He also added 2 more at the base to strengthen it. Next, he used a thick, round slice of tree wood, attached 2 short wooden legs to it, and made a small round table to place beside the chair. Moving on, he began laying down sheets of perforated paper on the floor, then brought up wooden planks and placed them over the paper, arranging them one beside another until he covered most of the area. However, the section under the fireplace was still unfinished, so he removed the heater, cleaned the spot, and brought in a wooden frame-like structure. Inside it, he placed a sheet of plastic, then a layer of foam, adjusted everything neatly, and covered it with wooden planks, securing them together tightly. After finishing the flooring, he stepped outside the house and began working on a wooden fence. Starting from the rope holder, he placed 1 plank after another, spacing them evenly between the house and the end post, continuing to attach and align each piece until the entire fence was completed. He secured the fence panels using triangular wooden supports, then brought a large wooden board and cut a section of it so it would fit perfectly between the planks. He used this piece as a ledge or stand where he could place items if needed. He added matching boards on both sides for balance. After that, he spread fiber sheets over the floor, adjusted them carefully, and stapled them in place. He continued covering the entire floor with fiber, making sure everything was neatly fastened. Then he took a special type of decorative paper, similar to wallpaper but made for floors, with a wooden pattern, and began applying it across the fiber base. He glued it carefully, smoothing it out as he went. When he reached areas around the tree trunk and the staircase door, he used a cutter to trim and fit the paper precisely. Next, he took a rope and wrapped it around the window frame, securing it with nails, then did the same around the door frame leading to the stairs, trimming any extra length. After finishing that, he began assembling the bed. He brought wooden planks, joined them together, then placed a thick tree trunk on top of the first wooden base as a main support beam. He added another layer on one side and then started arranging the slats across it. On the opposite side, he placed another board and secured the top trunk with a second one, connecting it directly to the bed frame. The result looked very sturdy. Then he placed several small foam mattresses on top, and with that, the bed was complete. Next, he took thin wooden strips made from tree bark, joined them together, trimmed off the edges, and installed the piece in a corner of the house. He designed it as a small bird feeder, a creative and charming idea that could easily be used in regular homes as well. Afterwards, he brought aluminum foil sheets and a metal panel. He trimmed the extra foil, nailed it securely, and then fitted a metal frame over it. On top, near the chimney, he installed a metal box and cut out a square from one of the glass panels. He turned that piece into a small hinged window that could open and close easily. To finish things off, he built a wall-mounted wooden table, fixed it securely, and placed a circular wooden piece above it made from a tree slice. He decorated it beautifully with hand-drawn designs, added clock hands to it, and turned it into a stunning handmade wooden clock.
Then he brought a thermometer and installed one outside and another one inside. He also hung up a mirror and placed a towel next to it. Using some wood, he built a small holder for the water tank and mounted it securely on the wall. He crafted a simple wooden handle for the staircase door and used a tree branch to create a hanger for his guitar. And with that, the house was completely finished. He had worked incredibly hard on it, but despite all the effort, it turned out to be something truly remarkable, impressive, inexpensive, and beautifully designed. That was today's video. See you next time.